Welcome to Metamorphosis TV, the process of transformation. In today's episode, I want to turn your attention to a University of Colorado offensive lineman, Tyler Brown, who was recently denied eligibility to play immediately this season, the 2023-24 college football season. Before we go any further, I want to play an interview of Tyler Brown. And during this interview, Tyler is sharing his story and offers some insight to what could be a game changer regarding the NCAA's recent decision. Pay close attention as Tyler discusses his transfer to Colorado. Tyler mentions the rules changing while he was at Colorado, and he alludes to by the time he was at Colorado. I want to focus on the rules change while he was at Colorado and what that could mean for Tyler Brown playing this season if it is true. Now, first, the interview. Let's listen to this interview.
So, as you know, when you're a second-time transfer, you have to get a waiver to be able to play football. And when I left Jackson State, the rules were completely different. So when I first left, I should have been able to play. But when I transferred and I was already at Colorado, they changed the rules. So they changed the rules for how you could leave, what you could be eligible to play with, what you could get a waiver for, and that all changed by the time I got to Colorado. And then I believe it was about 2 weeks ago, my compliance person, Mr. Chase, who was absolutely phenomenal and amazing. I have to thank him just for helping me through this entire process because he made it so easy for me to be able to, help with the appeal process and everything. But anyway, so I need a waiver. And I was told a couple weeks ago, your waiver's been denied by the NCAA, but we're going to fight it. We're going to appeal it.
Okay, now, you heard that. He mentions while he was at Colorado and by the time he was at Colorado. Now, this is going to be important if Tyler had transferred to Colorado before these rules became in place. Let me turn your attention to an article that was written by, I think it was the Buff Stampede. And the article is written by Jimmy Searfoss, written December 23rd. And now that's a Friday. This is of 2022, December 23rd. I need you all to pay close attention to the timeline here in this article and another article I'm going to present. And this article reads, Jackson State offensive line transfer, Tyler Brown ready to play in Boulder. Now keep in mind this article was written on December 23rd, but the writer is going to allude to Wednesday, which is the 21st, as I read this article. Pay close attention. Tyler Brown has never been to Boulder, but he is ready to call it home after signing with the Buffaloes Wednesday. Keep in mind this is the 23rd. They're referring to the 21st of of December. This article was written on December 23rd, 2022. And apparently Tyler Brown has signed with the University of Colorado on December 21st. At least that's what it alludes to. And it reads, Brown brings a big body and even a bigger smile to Colorado's offensive line. Coming in as a junior transfer from Jackson State, Brown is an offensive lineman standing at 6 foot 3 inches tall, 319 pounds. He earned first team All-SWAC, FCS All-American, and HBCU All-American honors in his time with Jackson State. Now, this article, again, written December 23rd, 2022. This was on a Friday. Now, I want to turn your attention now to the NCAA. This article was written January 12th, 2023. This is a Thursday, and the change, allegedly, the rules change, according to this article, was the day before, on January the 11th. The title of this article reads, NCAA Council votes to limit eligibility for second-time transfers to curb ballooning portal usage. Let me read that again. NCAA Council votes to limit eligibility for second-time transfers to curb ballooning portal usage. Keep in mind, this is written January 12, 2023. And it reads, the NCAA Division I Council approved legislation on Wednesday, January 11th, to limit waivers for second-time transfers. Now, undergraduate players who transfer will have specific guidelines they must meet in order to be eligible for immediate playing time starting with the 2023-24 season, or risk sitting out a year in between transfers. First, a player can receive immediate eligibility if they have a physical injury or mental health condition that pushed them to transfer from a school. Additionally, the NCAA will consider exigent circumstances that could force a player to leave an institution, like sexual assault or abuse. No other factors will be considered, including academic considerations or playing time. The new rules are an attempt to rein in the number of players using the transfer portal, which has exploded since it was launched 4 years ago. Nearly 2,000 players in FBS alone entered the portal in the first transfer window following the 2022 regular season. At least 120 quarterbacks alone have entered the portal, including a handful that were expected to enter the 2023 NFL Draft and opted for new starts at the college level instead. Notably, Rice quarterback J.T. Daniels just landed at his fourth institution after leaving West Virginia. He played at USC from 2018-2019 and Georgia from 2020-2021 before starting for the Mountaineers in 2022. With these rules, Daniels would need to graduate in between each of his final 2 transfers or sit out and risk burning a year of eligibility. The new NCAA rule only applies to undergraduate transfers. Players who graduate will still be eligible to play immediately at their next stops. Now, why is this important? If, and this is a big if these rules were, or the timeline here is accurate with these rules, and Mr. Brown allegedly had already transferred to the University of Colorado, this would probably be in the winter. Coach Prime started December 3rd. I think that's when they did his interview. They may have solidified the deal on paper or behind the scenes. And when Coach Prime did that interview with Rick George, and then he would later talk to the team that night, I'm coming, and when I get here, there's going to be change. That one that went viral. If Tyler Brown came shortly thereafter in the month of December to Colorado, then that sheds a different light on this transfer portal rule. You got it now. Again, looking at the timeline of these 2 articles, you have this article written by Buff Stampede in December 23rd, 2022, referring to Wednesday, December 21st, 2022, when Tyler Brown has allegedly signed with Colorado. Now, the following month, next year, January 12th, there's an article written by, I think it was 247 Sports perhaps, and they talk about the NCAA rules change for 2-time people who are transferring for the second time. The article is written January 12th. They're referring to the legislation and the change by the NCAA, which was January the 11th. Why is this important? If Mr. Brown was as he stated in his interview, if he was already at Colorado when these rules were changed, then Mr. Brown would not be bound by the new rules change. He was already at Colorado. If his transfer had been approved, had everything and all the paperwork had gone through in December of 2022, or whenever it actually took place, then Mr. Brown cannot be bound by the new rules change. In essence, there's an old school term called grandfathered in. And that term, grandfathered in, means Mr. Brown would be subject to the transfer portal rules that were in place at the time of his transfer, not the new rule that came the following year, which was less than a month later, but you get the point. The rule was not in place at that time. I'm just focusing on, the NCAA denied Mr. Brown to play this season so far. However, I just think I can't be the only one to see this if this is true, according to Mr. Brown. Now, again, going back to the interview, he makes two statements. He mentions while he was at Colorado, the rules changed, and he also mentions by the time he got to Colorado. So I don't know what Mr. Brown was referring to, but by the time he got to Colorado, was your paperwork already in place and you hadn't transferred or fully or what? That's the question there. Once that question is answered, we can go further in depth. And if Mr. Brown had transferred to Colorado before these rules, before this legislation was put in place and changed the dynamics of the waivers and being able to play immediately, then again, as I stated earlier, Mr. Brown would not be subject to that, which would be good news for Coach Boyle, Coach Prime, and Mr. Brown and his family. So that's all I have for you right now. I may dig a little deeper. I'm gonna see how this shakes out in terms of when the actual timeline of his transfer was. If anybody can offer any more in-depth information in terms of when was his transfer accepted by the University of Colorado, if it happened before January 11th, 2023, Mr. Brown could be cleared to play this season. That's a fact. That's a fact. And it's not just Mr. Brown. Let me be clear about this. Any player that transferred in all of college football, those who are able to utilize this transfer portal mechanism, any player that transferred before this legislation was approved, January 11th, if they transferred in December or prior to January 11th, before this legislation was put in place, they too would be grandfathered in to the rules as it were when they transferred, not the new rules. The new rules were not in place at the time of their transfer. Therefore, they cannot be subject to the what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry, people, for doing this. They would not be bound to the specifics, for lack of a better term, of the new rule. The tightening up, the specifics of tightening up the second time transfer. Whatever the two-time transfer rules were prior to January 11, 2023, those rules would apply to those players that transferred before January 11. Or if you want to just put a button up a tight date on it, January 10th, 2023. Anybody transferring prior to before January 10th, 2023 would not be bound by the new NCAA rules change to the 2-time transfer rule. Look that up. Y'all get down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Am I on to something? Am I trying to pull a needle out of the haystack? Hey, that's all I have for you. God bless you and Lord, you and yours. I look forward to the game tomorrow. Hey, I think they're gonna get it done for a lot of personal reasons, but I think Coach Prime has a formula for what he did at Jackson State, and he's implementing it at the University of Colorado. I think a lot of people and a lot of prognosticators are going to be surprised. I'm going to do another video regarding that game later tonight, and I'll try to get that out to you, if not later tonight by the morning, but definitely before kickoff. You all take care. I'm out.